Morning, everyone.
You may be seated.
The ACP anthem, yes.
We'll stand for the ACP anthem. Thank you. You may be seated. I call to order this special session of the Committee of Ambassadors. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade of Jamaica, and President of the ACP Council of Ministers. Ambassador Dr. Patrick Gomes, Secretary General of the ACP Group of States. His Excellency Daniel Abe, Dean of the ACP Committee of Ambassadors and Ambassador of the Republic of the Cameroon. Excellencies, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, you would recognize this as a unique and particularly proud moment for me to welcome my own Prime Minister to ACP House. I do so on behalf of the 79 African, Caribbean, and Pacific Group of Ambassadors, as well as on my own behalf. Prime Minister, your visit today takes place at a very significant time, coming as it does during the tenure of Jamaica as President of the Council of Ministers and simultaneously as Chair of the ACP Committee of Ambassadors. Minister, I also welcome you and thank you for the vigilance you have kept over our affairs on behalf of your colleague ministers. This is, of course, the 6th time that Jamaica has presided over the ACP Council of Ministers, the last time being in 2004. Jamaica also has the distinction of being a founding member of the ACP Group of States and played a leading role in the 18-month-long negotiations that led to the first Lomé Convention between the ACP and the then EEC in February 1975. Prime Minister, your visit to the ACP also comes at a time when preparations are in high gear for the negotiations with the European Union for an ACP-EU successor agreement after 2020. The Committee of Ambassadors has been seized of this crucial exercise assigned to it by the Council of Ministers, guided by the decisions from the 7th and 8th summits of our heads of state and government, namely the Sipopo Declaration of December 2012 and the Port Moresby Declaration of June 2016, respectively. Preparations are well advanced, with a draft negotiating mandate expected to be reviewed by the Committee of Ambassadors in special session in early May, with the objective of submitting the final draft for consideration by the 107th Council of Ministers in Lome in May. Your visit, therefore, is opportune, as it affords the Committee of Ambassadors the opportunity to benefit from your wise counsel as we work towards finalizing the negotiating mandate. I am pleased to recall that over the years, Jamaican diplomatic and other representatives have made their mark in contributing with distinction to the work of the ACP group, in the development of the rules and procedures which have guided the work of this body, and in the program and activities which have been developed to benefit peoples across our countries and regions. Jamaica has also been a happy beneficiary of the fruits of the ACP's successes on several fronts, in the management of the sugar and banana programs with the European Union, the Economic Partnership Agreement, and capacity building initiatives offered at the intra-ACP level, including the hubs and spokes. At another level, I'm happy to observe that our country continues to play a significant role in the affairs of the ACP. The ACP Secrertariat itself boasts of 3 Jamaican citizens within its staff complement, namely Mr. Alex Singh, who heads the IT unit, Dr. Natalie Corey-Cordas, expert in charge of humanitarian affairs and civil society, and Miss Karen Henry, English revisor. Cumulatively, they have offered many decades of service to the organization and continue to keep the Jamaican flag flying high in their respective areas of competence. Prime Minister, Secretary General, Minister, Excellencies, before concluding my statement, please allow me to place on record Jamaica's deep appreciation for the excellent collaboration and support I have enjoyed from my colleague ambassadors since my assumption of the chairmanship of the Committee of Ambassadors on February 1st of this year. I'm also happy to confirm that I've enjoyed the same unquestionable support from the Secretary General and the staff of the Secretariat. With these remarks, let me once again warmly welcome the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, to ACP House, your house. And with your permission, I will now invite the Secretary General to formally introduce you to the Committee of Ambassadors. Secretary General, Excellencies, thank you. Secretary General, you have the floor.
Your Excellency, Mr. Prime Minister, Madam President of the Council of Ministers, our dear and charming Chair of the Committee of Ambassadors, Dean of the ACP Ambassadors, Excellencies, representatives of missions, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. This morning's visit to the ACP Committee of Ambassadors by the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, is a signal honor and a source of great pride for the ACP group of states. Indeed, the committee is not only welcoming the head of government of a very active country within the ACP family, but also a statesman who possesses and has demonstrated outstanding qualities of openness and an exceptional capacity for dialogue and inclusiveness. The Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, who honors us today with his presence, is undoubtedly a luminary of the new generation of leaders who are dedicated and unambiguously committed to the cause of sustainable development with people, peace, and prosperity at its center. Prime Minister Holness has held several high-level positions within both the executive and legislative branches of his country's government. He was first elected as a Member of Parliament to represent the constituency of West Central St. Andrew in 1997 at the age of 25, and was subsequently re-elected several times. It is no surprise that he began to serve his country's government, holding several high-level ministerial posts, which enabled him to discharge responsibilities with distinction in several key sectors, such as social welfare, community development, housing, and in particular, education. Following national elections on 25 February 2016, the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness became the 9th Prime Minister of Jamaica and also the youngest Prime Minister to date, as well as the first one born after his country's independence in 1962. Since assuming this prestigious office, he has continued to work tirelessly to improve the quality of life and living conditions of the people of Jamaica. Moreover, he brought national attention to the critical importance of literacy and instituted several programs to place Jamaica on the path to universal literacy at the primary level. Under his wise leadership, Jamaica saw the introduction of the Career Advancement Program, a post-secondary technical and vocational training program for young people. Some of Prime Minister Holness's more fundamental reforms to the education system include the establishment of institutions such as the Jamaica Teaching Council, the National Education Trust, the National Education Inspectorate, the Centers of Excellence Program, and the Alternative Secondary Transition Education Program, designed to support students falling behind in general education. A person of compassion and open-mindedness, the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness continues to offer visionary leadership in promoting peace, solidarity, and unity among states, groups of states, and international organizations, and provided unreserved commitment to partnerships with the private sector, civil society, the diaspora, the political opposition, and his country's international partners, inspired by a vision of shared prosperity for all Jamaicans through inclusive economic growth and meaningful job creation. As Prime Minister, he has brought vibrant, pragmatic leadership to the transformation of public sector administration and to making government more responsive. Dear Prime Minister, dear guests, allow me to conclude by underscoring that your presence here this morning with the representatives of the member states of the ACP group is another unequivocal testament to the interest that Jamaica as a founding member has always shown in the ACP group. We thank you. More specifically and timely, as chairman of the Caribbean community, we deeply appreciate your country's and the region's solidarity with the governments and peoples of Africa and the Pacific to forge deeper and stronger bonds in building peaceful, prosperous, and stable societies to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030 and beyond. Thank you again, Mr. Prime Minister, for honoring us with your presence today. Welcome to ACP House, and do come again. Thank you.
I now have the pleasure of inviting the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, to make his address. Prime Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Excellency Sheila Seeley Monteith, Chair of the Committee of Ambassadors and Ambassador of Jamaica. Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade of Jamaica and Chairman of the ACP Council of Ministers. Your Excellency Daniel Abe, Dean of the ACP Group of Ambassadors. Ambassador Dr. Patrick Gomes, Secretary General of the ACP, thank you for your warm welcome and your kind words. Your Excellencies, ambassadors and members of delegations, members of staff of the ACP Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed a pleasure for me to address this esteemed body of ambassadors at the ACP House this morning. This is my second visit to the ACP House, the last one being over 10 years ago when I was Minister of Education. And I'm looking at this room and recall that I was actually in this room. And I'm actually remembering where I sat and all the conversations that we had there coming back. Lovely memories 10 years ago. On this occasion, I bring you all warm greetings, and I really mean warm greetings, from the government and people of Jamaica that I was granted the privilege to lead just over 2 years ago. I deeply appreciate the hearty welcome extended to me and my delegation, and thank the Secretary General and his team for the arrangements they have put in place to facilitate today's special engagement with you. I assure you that I have kept abreast of the work and activities being undertaken by the Committee of Ambassadors, by my Foreign Minister and her team at the Foreign Ministry, and more specifically through the insightful reports from your chairman, the Ambassador of Jamaica. We commend your continued commitment and dedication to the pursuit of the goals and objectives espoused by the 1975 Georgetown Agreement, as well as the more recent Sipopo Declaration of the 7th Summit of 2012, and the Port Moresby Declaration and the Waigani Communique of 2016. These jointly agreed documents serve as important guiding principles in our collective effort towards attaining the principal goal of development of our countries across the African, Caribbean, and Pacific regions. Jamaica's long-standing membership of the ACP group is an important pillar in our foreign policy, which has at its foundation the pursuit of partnerships with those who share similar values, principles, goals, and aspirations for peace and security, good governance, and the rule of law, for the ultimate objective of securing development and prosperity for all our people. It is precisely for that reason, therefore, that over the many years of engagement with other developing countries within the ACP group, our ambassadors and other representatives have been specifically charged with the responsibility to give impetus to the work of the ACP and its relations with our partners, including those within the European Union. We will not renege on our commitment to the ACP group of states. In that context, I am particularly pleased that our current ambassador and her staff has the opportunity to play an important leadership role in the critical work that you are undertaking at this juncture. I am equally happy to note that there are 3 of our compatriots among the staff of the Secretariat who follow in the tradition of their predecessors of offering dedicated service. We are indeed proud of them. Your Excellencies, I'm ever mindful of the fact that access to development is a fundamental right of every citizen of countries across the globe. There is no doubt that each of our countries has to grapple with its own particular challenges in the pursuit of the goals of sustainable development. What is abundantly clear, however, is that as least developed and developing countries, many of us highly indebted and having special vulnerabilities, we can only optimize our individual efforts by acting together. In my own engagement with developing country partners around the world, I have been inspired by the creativity that has been applied to processes, to tremendous challenges, to change tremendous challenges into opportunities. There is therefore significant value in countries of the ACP with similar constraints working together to advocate for new approaches to common development challenges and at the same time sharing proven, useful solutions. In Jamaica, my administration has been actively pursuing a range of creative solutions for social and economic activities that will generate economic growth and prosperity, particularly through investments in infrastructure, logistics, and technology. By these means, we are seeking to create increased opportunities for meaningful jobs, particularly for young people transitioning from learning to earning. We believe that these combined activities, which are being driven and monitored by a high-level Economic Growth Council, will induce prosperity for our people and foster the development of peaceful and secure communities. While these national initiatives have been homegrown, their design and implementation strategies have also benefited from our observation of the economic development successes of partner countries across the world. Indeed, we are quite clear that collaborative action between and among groups of countries in the management of challenges has the potential to yield the highest returns for all stakeholders. Mindful, therefore, of the value of mutual support among partners for the attainment of our national and collective development goals, Jamaica attaches great importance to our relations and cooperation with the ACP group of states. Our membership of this body has afforded us significant opportunities for deepening our bilateral and regional contacts with the countries of the group and with third parties such as the European Union, as well as advancing our trade prospects and development interests as beneficiaries of and/or signatories to successive Lomé Conventions, the Cotonou Partnership Agreement, and the CARIFORUM EU Economic Partnership Agreement. We believe that following the expiration of the current Cotonou Partnership Agreement in 2020, a successor arrangement between the ACP group of states and the EU will be of critical importance to the effective pursuit of sustainable development by all countries. To this end, Jamaica has taken seriously its responsibility to each state in the context of its presidency of the ACP Council of Ministers. Along with the CARIFORUM group of states that we represent, we commit to promote a process of collaboration that will ensure that no state is left behind. The ACP group has a rich history and has accomplished much through its unity, strength, and solidarity. Indeed, the Eminent Persons Group affirmed in its report entitled ACP, A New Vision for Our Future, that the ACP Group's major strength lies in its ability to serve as a platform for its member countries to engage with bilateral and multilateral partners in order to secure sustainable development, inclusive growth, and poverty eradication for its 1.1 billion people. Indeed, the group's numerical strength represents a formidable force in our engagements with third countries on issues of concern to our membership. We can readily attest to the clear benefits of the ACP relationship, which has been manifested at different levels, including a significant contribution to the eradication of poverty, improved and more equitable access to basic services and infrastructure, increased awareness of the environment and climate change, indeed very instrumental in the COP process and the adoption of the Paris Agreement on climate change, and enhanced mutual understanding through political dialogue. It is our desire, therefore, to see this relationship continue in a structured framework beyond 2020, preferably within the context of an all-ACP framework. However, in order to remain viable and effective, every organization must periodically go through a process of reflection and self-examination. In like manner, ACP member states must commit to a process of reinventing and repositioning of the group into a modern, fit-for-purpose, intergovernmental organization. Jamaica therefore stands ready to support a process of operationalization of the aspirations for a revitalized ACP as outlined in the policy document towards the ACP we want. If the reform process is to be successful, it must be pursued in an atmosphere of transparency and trust, where both pragmatism and compromise can prevail, and where our collective efforts can give rise to an effectively reformed ACP group of which we can all be justly proud. Undoubtedly, a transformed ACP group will be better able to empower the more than 1 billion people that it represents across the region. I can recall several examples of common challenges affecting our people that have been resolved through our collective efforts and partnership with third countries. Last year, several countries in our region were severely impacted by climate change and weather-related crises. These are experiences that are not unique to the Caribbean, but which affect many countries of the ACP. None of us can champion this cause alone in the international arena. However, a united ACP can establish synergies with bodies such as the United Nations and the Commonwealth, which will meet in the coming days to discuss these and other development issues. Undoubtedly, our effort to address our common challenges will have the best prospects of success if mounted from a united front. Together, we can engage third parties in meaningful dialogue aimed at changing, among other things, the criteria for development support, as well as for establishing international standards for growth, which have continued to impede our development process. You can well appreciate, therefore, the need for a concrete and effective mechanism for the articulation of the concerns of member states in the international arena. Our issues of common concern include good governance, taxation, climate change, migration, labor productivity, private sector development, human resource capacity building, and the digital economy within a robust governance framework. A reformed ACP, backed by the political commitment of member states, as well as sound governance mechanisms and processes, and financial stability, would be able to guarantee this process. In addition to a reformed ACP, this would facilitate greater knowledge transfer among the member states who have had success in key areas and have established national, regional, and globally recognized best practices. Indeed, the ACP group of states can present the finest example of practical and effective approaches to South-South cooperation. With this in mind, I can readily envisage the scope for enhanced cooperation among our three regions in technical and vocational training, sports management, and MSME development, among others. These are avenues which we should be pursuing among ourselves without having to rely on external partners. This must become part of the ACP we want in the short to medium term, and not postponed to some distant point in the future. Our youth, in particular, are impatient for action, and we must deliver. In this regard, I take note of recent and ongoing work of this distinguished body on the revision of the Georgetown Agreement. This is critical to our efforts to reposition the ACP within the international sphere. The completion of this process should lead to the consolidation of the group as an effective global player and to the further articulation of an action plan with agreed timelines for the effective transformation of the ACP group. Your Excellencies, a true test of the credibility of our efforts to reposition the ACP group is our management of the negotiation process with our long-standing partner, the European Union, on a successor agreement to the Cotonou Partnership Agreement scheduled to commence in August 2018. This impending activity provides the ACP group with a critical opportunity to outline its future direction, as well as to infuse some dynamism into this bilateral relationship. It is a chance for us to place squarely on the table the basis on which the group will then engage with the EU 27, with Britain having fully exited the Union by then. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we owe it to the future generations to make the best projections and provisions for their well-being. All of our countries have large sections of young people who are setting much store on the actions we take in their favor. I encourage you, therefore, to be bold, visionary, and ambitious in outlining our aspirations for a renewed partnership with the EU. In this respect, let me reaffirm the commitment of the government and people of Jamaica towards the advancement of this process, which is to culminate in the adoption of an all-ACP negotiating mandate at the upcoming 107th session of the ACP Council of Ministers and its preceding special session on post-Cotonou relationships. My foreign minister is pleased to have the opportunity to preside over those critical discussions to be held in Lome, Togo at the end of May. She has already given me the assurance of her commitment as President of the Council to provide the requisite support to member states of the ACP as you prepare for the launch of a rigorous process of negotiations with our EU partners in the coming months. I encourage you to commit to open and frank dialogue in the spirit of friendship and solidarity that has been the hallmark of the ACP partnership over more than half a century. Let us never abandon the invaluable collaborative framework which has served us well in the past and will continue to be our guide in the years ahead. I thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
This is well.
Prime Minister, we anticipated that we would have been the beneficiaries of your insights and wisdom, and indeed we have. We have a clear appreciation that Jamaica's vision of the ACP supports us working to strengthen its foundations, its advantages, so that all our countries and peoples can benefit. We look towards Jamaica's continued engagement under your leadership and with the full support of your Foreign Minister and President of the ACP Council. Thank you, Prime Minister. This has been a memorable moment for all of us, in particular for me. I thank you all. I now have the pleasure of inviting His Excellency Daniel Abe, Dean of the ACP Committee of Ambassadors and Ambassador of the Republic of Cameroon, to extend the vote of thanks on our behalf. Excellency, you have the floor.
Most Honorable Prime Minister of Jamaica, it is with deep joy that I'm accomplishing this task of expressing on behalf of all my colleagues the gratitude of the Committee of Ambassadors for having thought of paying us a visit this morning during your first official visit to Belgium. We are deeply honored because the ACP group is not only welcoming a head of government of an ACP country, but also Prime Minister of a country which is very committed and one of the founders of the umbilical links which exist in the ACP group. Luck has it that your trip to Brussels is taking place at a crucial moment in the life of the ACP, where Jamaica is occupying in a very remarkable way the chair of the Committee of Ambassadors and the presidency of the ACP Council of Ministers. Your visit also comes at a time when the ACP group is getting ready to go to Lomé in a few weeks' time to adopt its post-Cotonou negotiation mandate under the Jamaican presidency of the ACP Council of Ministers and the ACP EU Council of Ministers. On this note, we commend the leadership and priceless contribution of the Honorable Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Jamaica, President of the ACP Council of Ministers, and also of our distinguished sister, Celie Monteith, Chairperson of the Committee of Ambassadors, for the praiseworthy efforts and invaluable efforts which they constantly make to help the advancement of the ACP group. Honorable Prime Minister, the ACP is at a historical turning point of its existence. We have to work out the prospects of a new ACP group and carry out negotiations with our European partners for a new successor agreement to the Cotonou Agreement, which expires in 2020. On this point, your vision on the future of the ACP group and its partnership with the European Union, which you have highlighted very validly, will certainly contribute to enrich our consideration of the definition of the new solid and ambitious prospects for the ACP group, which intends to play an important role in the concert of nations. Do understand that in these circumstances, we have closely listened to your message this morning, which speaks of the strengthening of the solidarity of our amongst our states, unity and cohesion of the ACP group for better positioning of our organization on the international scene. We are happy to be able to continue to benefit from your advice and working towards the consolidation of the very links which bind us within the ACP group and the promotion of cooperation with the European Union and other partners of development. We wish you a safe return home and would be very happy and pleased, whenever possible, to welcome you to our family home, the ACP House, and closely listen to your message to advance the ACP group. I thank you for your kind attention.
Excellency, I want to thank you for your kind words on all our behalf. The Most Honorable Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Senator the Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, Secretary General, we have now come to the close of this this special session, and it is my pleasure to indicate that the Prime Minister will be very happy to walk around this room and to meet all of you, and I know that you look forward to doing so and to receiving him. I bring this meeting, therefore, to a close, and thank you very much for your kind attention and for being here.